Isaac's laughter echoed through the valleys of Trode, a sound that had become increasingly familiar since his arrival. The land, with its gentle undulations, bestowed upon each secluded valley an enchanting, almost fey-like quality. With each new valley traversed, Isaac was greeted with a kaleidoscope of marvels that captivated his senses. The riot of colors in this land was unparalleled. His catalog now boasted over 500 newly discovered wildflowers and 2 unprecedented species of trees. Lucian, whose laughter carried a rougher timbre, couldn't help but join in. Yet amidst their mirth he sought a moment of gravity. "Locke," he interjected, still chuckling, "be serious for a moment. I've shared with you the tales of the floods." Isaac's smile lingered, a testament to the joy he found in every aspect of Trode. "Yes, I've listened to your stories, and I'll heed the words of your elders," he conceded, his eyes still alight with the day's discoveries. But such concerns seemed distant. "Now listen, truly listen. Have you heard the one about the monk and the 3 donkeys?" That evening the village was abuzz with the gathering of the elders. Amidst them were Isaac and Lucian. The air was thick, the kind of stuffiness that made Isaac's skin crawl with restlessness. He couldn't help but let his mind wander beyond the hall's confining walls, longing for the freedom of the open night air. Suddenly, a quick kick to his foot jolted Isaac back to the reality. Isaac's heart sank. He felt like a child caught red-handed, his hand deep in the cookie jar. His distraction had been noticed. "I'm sorry, Honored One. I was just lost in thought there," Isaac stammered, his cheeks flushing with embarrassment. The elder before them offered a smile of compassionate understanding. "I was asking if you knew the full danger these floods bring. Not just to our village, but to all lands within a week's ride from here." Isaac's expression, a mix of confusion and curiosity, prompted the elder to continue. The room fell into hushed anticipation as the elder spoke of a great lake hidden deep in the mountains to the west, shaped by the hands of the old ones. According to legend, once a century, a great deluge would sweep away everything in its path, yet always with enough warning for the people to seek safety. But something has changed. The elder's voice grew somber. The last flood was only 30 years ago. And now the reports say the lake is nearly full again. We won't have enough time to bring in the harvest. The air seemed to grow heavier with his words. "Lucian calls you Locke, because he thinks you're a warlock." All eyes turned to Isaac, a hint of expectation hanging unspoken between them. The elder's gaze was hopeful and pleading. "I hope he is right, and that you can help us." As dawn crept through the windows, Isaac stirred from his sleep, rising earlier than usual. Yet upon entering the kitchen, he found Lucian already there, hunched over the table, his posture a blend of devotion and despair. "Good morning, Luck," Isaac greeted cheerfully, trying to infuse some warmth into the cold morning air. Lucian straightened up, a weary smile touching his lips as he replied, "And to you. Tea?" He nodded towards the earthenware pot on the stove, still warm. Isaac poured himself a cup of tea, the rich aroma filling the space between them, and took a seat opposite Lucian. "Did you get any sleep?" Isaac inquired, concern lacing his voice. Lucian let out a sigh, heavy with exhaustion. "No, not a wink," he confessed. Silence hung between them for a moment, before Lucian found the strength to continue. "I lay there next to June, soaking in her presence, fearing it might be for the last time. There's this gnawing dread within me, that even if we manage to save the village, my life here might still be at its end." Isaac watched him intently, his gaze steady and unwavering, seeing in Lucian not just a friend, but a brother, forged quickly, but strong as steel. Lucian's voice broke the silence one more. When the last flood came, we had little warning. My mother, sisters, and I were visiting my aunt. My father was out on the farm, likely missed the warning bells. His body? We never found it. A pause filled with the weight of unshed tears. There's a marker for him, but it's not the same. And now I fear it's either me, or worse, Jude and Annabelle facing that fate. Issac, I need your help. Isaac's lips pressed into a thin line, his resolve firm. I will do everything in my power to help you. I swear to you, brother. There is something in Isaac's tone, a fierce determination mixed with a storm's ferocity, that Lucian had never heard before. Yet it was this very tempest that seemed to wash away his fears, leaving a sense of calm in its wake. Lifted by Isaac's vow, Lucian pondered the bond that they shared, strengthened not by blood, but by an unspoken pact, a kinship that had silently grown between them. 6 weeks prior, a man ambled onto Lucian's farm, immediately striking as a figure out of place amidst the royal simplicity. Tall and broad by any standard, he nevertheless seemed dwarfed by Lucian's own towering presence. His glasses, with their thin brass frames, held lenses of differing color and shape. Over his left eye, a blue-tinted oval sat in an intriguing angle, and over his right, a clear, perfectly circular lens that shimmered and sparkled under unknown conditions. The stranger's attire was equally peculiar, ill-suited to the season, and dyed in hues so rare that they marked him as someone of considerable wealth, perhaps a merchant. Hanging from his belt was a small black sheath containing a rod, about 6 inches long and 2 inches wide. Lucian initially mistook it for an odd, retractable baton, but was soon corrected when the man demonstrated its ability to emit a brilliant light at the press of a button. Upon meeting June and Annabelle, the stranger had been introduced as Issac, showed impeccable respect. His charm and easy manners had Annabelle smitten from the moment he stepped through the door, ostensibly just to ask for directions to the nearest town. Yet by the time Lucian returned home in the late afternoon, Issac was still there, engaged in lively conversation and play. Issac revealed himself as a wanderer, constantly moving from one place to another in pursuit of new landscapes to explore and document. While he professed his love for all aspects of nature, trees held a special fascination for him. This passion, coupled with his genuine mirth, won Lucian over almost as swiftly as Annabelle. In a private moment, Lucian and June had concurred that Isaac's company was not just enjoyable, but also enriching. Grateful for their unexpected warmth and hospitality, Issac decided to extend his stay. Over the ensuing weeks, he had become a beloved member in the community, lending his strength and spirit to aid Lucian as well as neighbors. One particular afternoon, Lucian, Issac, and several neighbors sought refuge from an unseasonal downpour, waiting for a break in the weather so that they could return to the Jacobs West field. Isaac's attention had been drawn to a broken clock, a relic of a bygone era. It sat neglected until Issac, with Brog Jacobs' blessing, took it upon himself to examine the timepiece. What seemed like moments after Brog had returned to his seat, Issac announced with a triumphant flourish that the clock was fixed, and indeed it was. From that day forward, Lucian had affectionately called him Locke, a moniker that seemed to capture both his mystique and capability. An hour after the morning had fully broken, June and Annabel had drifted into the kitchen, finding Lucian and Locke amidst the remnants of a jovial breakfast. The warmth of the room, filled with lingering sense of the meal, set the stage for a tender good farewell. After a series of heartfelt goodbyes to the girls, the two men shouldered their packs, stepping into the crisp morning air with a sense of purpose. Their journey began with a walk into town, where a small gathering of villagers awaited them. From this assembly, they were furnished with 2 sturdy horses and the provisions necessary for their expedition. As they rode westward, the ease of their conversation allowed the day to unravel gently around them. By the time dusk had painted the sky with orange and purple, they had chosen a clearing just off the road to set up camp. As the fire crackled and night settled in, Lucian's earlier apprehensions resurfaced, casting a shadow. With a voice tinged with hesitation, he turned to Issac. Do you really think we can succeed? Do you truly have the power to stop the flood? Issac paused in his preparations of their evening meal, meeting Lucian's gaze with a solemnity that belied his unusual confidence. I don't know, he admitted, his honesty stark against the backdrop of their isolated camp. I'm not a magician, nor a warlock, but I do have a few tricks that might just suffice. I just know that we have to try. Lucian's heart sank at the acknowledgement of the uncertainty. What tricks? You claim it's not magic, yet what you achieve seems nothing short of miraculous. He pressed, the undercurrent of his doubt in his voice unmistakable. Issac felt a tug of conflict within him. He was torn between his desire to confide in his friend and the fear of how his revelations might be received. In many places he'd visited, superstitions ran deep, and the unknown was often met with fear or hostility. Would Lucian see Sarah as a ghost, a demon, or accuse Issac of drugging him? He didn't know. After a moment of internal struggle, Issac reached a decision. He removed his glasses and offered them to Lucian. Put these on, and don't be scared, he urged gently. With a deep breath, Lucian acquiesced, the confusion in his eyes still clearly there. The moment he peered through the lenses, a woman's sweet voice whispered in his ear, startlingly clear. Hello, Lucian. It's nice to finally meet you. The surprise in Lucian's eyes was palpable as he whipped around to face Issac, a mix of shock and disbelief in his gaze. That's Sarah, Issac explained with a calming presence, taking back his glasses. She exists within the glasses, a sort of machine woven into the fabric of the lenses. She can manipulate light passing through them to project information directly to the wearer, creating the illusion of audio communication. Lucian's brow furrowed, skepticism etched into every line of his face. Or it's a lying demon, he countered, the age-old fear of the unknown coloring his judgment. Issac shook his head, a gentle smile softening his response. Demons are the stuff of tales, Lucian. What's real are these lenses. Sarah is part of a technology far beyond our understanding, left by those who came before us. In the ruins where I found her, there were others like her, though none is intact. She's not magic. She's a remnant of the Old One's knowledge. Sensing Lucian's continued hesitation, Issac pressed on, his voice imbued with conviction. Sarah is benevolent. She's been instrumental in helping not just me, but others as well. She's the magic you've seen at work. If there's any hope of understanding and confronting the mystery of the lake, it's through her and the wisdom she holds. Gradually, the skepticism in Lucian's eyes began to give way to burgeoning hope. She can truly assist us? He asked. a newfound respect dawning within him. I didn't realize. Please, could you apologize for me? With a warm smile, Issac assured him. She heard you, Lucian, and she accepts. Placing a reassuring hand on Lucian's shoulder, Issac's confidence was infectious. Together, with Sarah's help, we're going to protect your people. Our people. As dawn's first light streaked across the sky, painting it now with hues of orange and pink, Lucian and Issac resumed their journey, spirits buoyed despite the gravity of their quest. The camaraderie of the previous day lingered, though both men were noticeably more contemplative, perhaps weighed down by the anticipation of what lay ahead. An hour into their travel, the road presented a decision. Ahead, the main road stretched westward as straight and true as the day it was laid down by the ancients, a testament to their engineering prowess. Veering off to the north, however, was a less imposing trail that ran parallel to the main road after a short divergence. Lucian paused at the fork, sharing with Issac the local lore. Many travelers, he explained, opted for this detour to avoid the old crossroads. Superstitions ran deep, with tales of malevolent spirits preying on unwary souls and stealing them away, or worse. Issac listened intently, his curiosity piqued by a blend of fear and folklore that seemed to permeate the region. Despite the warnings, they observed neither spirits nor other travelers as they continued west, the mountains looming ever closer on the horizon. By nightfall, they had made good time, camping just an hour's distance from the lake. The proximity to their destination lent a certain urgency to their preparations. The night passed with little of the previous evening's ease. On the morning of the third day, they arrived at the reservoir, the early light reflecting off its surface with a brilliance that belayed the danger lurking beneath. The vast body of water lay tranquil, a silent witness to the ages and secrets it held. As they crested the hill, Issac and Lucian were greeted with their first breathtaking view of the lake. The expanse of water stretched before them, its shimmering surface under the morning sun. Lucian noticed Issac murmuring softly, likely consulting with Sarah for guidance. He turned his attention back to the lake, taking in the sight of its waters encroaching upon the land, a silent testament to the looming threat they faced. The waters had risen significantly, its waters now lapping eagerly at the shores, climbing the sides of the surrounding peaks. Lucian observed small trees that appeared to be standing in the shallows, their trunks partially submerged. It was clear these trees, now waiting like sentinels at the water's edge, had taken root far from the lake's reach in the years following the last flood, a stark indicator of how swiftly the waters were rising. After a moment of silent contemplation, Issac relayed information from Sarah. She believes there's a hatch located on one of these peaks, possibly marked by those boulders. He explained, gesturing towards the far side of the lake. Lucian followed his gaze to see 3 large boulders positioned equidistant from each other on a plateau, the area around them conspicuously flat compared to the rugged terrain rimming the rest of the lake. The journey around the lake to reach the marked plateau took several hours, longer than they had anticipated. The ideal path along the shore was unfeasible. The lands that were not submerged were thick with mud, rendering any progress slow. Arriving at the boulders just after the zenith of the sun, Lucian and Issac discovered that Sarah's guidance had once again proved accurate. The boulders encircled a hatch, obscured by layers of earth, with a portion of its handle peeking through. They paused quickly for lunch before setting to work clearing the hatch of its earthen shroud, only to find it firmly locked. Lucian was about to resort to his hammer and chisel when Issac intervened with a cautionary hand. Muttering a quick consultation with Sarah, Issac retrieved the baton from his sheath. With a subtle manipulation, a small black rod dislodged from the baton's side, falling neatly into his palm. He applied the rod to the lock, twisting with precise movements. After an initial unsuccessful attempt, accompanied by a frustrated curse, Issac reset, twisted again, and was rewarded with a satisfying pop. The hatch swung open with ease under Issac's guidance. As Lucian watched, the baton shimmered in Issac's hand, revealing a slot perfectly shaped for the rod. Issac inserted it into the baton, and with another shimmer, the tool was whole once again. Pressing the button, Issac illuminated their way with the baton's brilliant light. Their successful entry seemed to buoy Issac's spirit, prompting him to venture a joke, the first since their journey had begun. "What has 3 fingers and straight teeth?" he asked, a playful twinkle in his eyes. Lucian, intrigued but puzzled, played along. "What?" "A Grutecki merchant," Issac declared, bursting into laughter. Lucian's bemused gaze only fueled Issac's amusement. Realizing the disconnect, Issac managed to explain between fits of laughter. "Oh, you don't know about the Grutecki. Their merchants are notorious, all considered thieves, and well, his explanation solved into laughter once more. The sight of Issac's unrestrained mirth was infectious. Despite not fully grasping the joke, Lucian found himself laughing along, drawn into a light-hearted moment by the sheer joy of his friend's laughter. The hatch revealed a ladder descending 15 feet into darkness. With Issac's light leading the way, they descended into a passage that opened into a room constructed of blue metal, adorned with signage of an unrecognizable script. Through Issac's interactions with Sarah, the mysterious language was deciphered, guiding them to a large dormant control room. The heart of the room was dominated by banks of towering cabinets, standing like silent guardians in the gloom. Issac extinguished the light from his baton, placing it atop a central cabinet. In the dimness, the baton transformed into a makeshift lantern. 4 segments slid out for Issac to gently remove, each one revealing a bright yellow light, casting the room in a new, revealing glow. Issac watched, utterly fascinated, as Issac meticulously arranged the baton's segments into a larger square and a smaller rectangle. Murmuring softly to Sarah, Issac's gaze swept the room, eventually settling on a cabinet at the far end. A moment of triumph was palpable as Issac exclaimed, "Eureka!" and dove to open the targeted cabinet. Engrossed in his task, Issac was unaware of Lucian's approach until he turned abruptly, his call for assistance halting mid-sentence upon realizing Lucian's proximity. "The lantern," he concluded with a smile, regaining his composure. Lucian, now holding the light, observed Issac deftly connect cables to ports on his devices, marveling at the seamless integration of ancient technology and Issac's modern ingenuity. Issac, looking up from his work, informed Lucian, "Sarah estimates this will take an hour. I need to stay here, but you're welcome to step out for some fresh air if you'd like." Lucian dismissed the offer with a wave of his hand. "I'm fine here. Besides, if you're just sitting with Sarah, maybe you should take the break." Issac chuckled at the suggestion. "I need to be here with Sarah. I rely on her too much to see without these lenses. But since you're saying, let me ask you, why did the woman of the Frake Islands have green hands?" At this, Lucian let out a groan, sitting next to his friend with a resigned smile. "You've told that one 100 times. An hour later, Issac was interrupted by Sarah's voice, delivering the news. I've identified the cause of the flooding, and it's within our power to rectify." She presented him with a detailed layout of the underground facility and the path they needed to follow. The solution lay in a small, obscure room where they could adjust the facility's drainage system, redirecting the water to gradually feed into several streams nearby. With a renewed sense of purpose, Issac reassembled his baton, its end growing brightly to guide their way through the labyrinthine depths of the facility. Their journey was punctuated by obstacles. Doors that refused to yield were forcefully persuaded by Lucian's strength, and locks that guarded secrets yielded to Issac's skillful manipulation and the occasional curse. Their trek culminated in the discovery of the pivotal room. Inside, Issac replicated his earlier actions with the lantern, illuminating the space to reveal a solitary cabinet. Once the necessary connections were made, he turned to Lucian, a face alight with a promise of success. "In just a half hour, we'll have secured the safety of your village." Lucian, however, was wreathed in skepticism, struggling to grasp the simplicity of their solution. "Are you certain? Did you verify the integrity of the channels? Or the lake's capacity withstand the adjustments without immediate overflow?" Issac met Lucian's concern with a compassionate gaze, his faith in Sarah unwavering. "We can be certain because Sarah has confirmed it. She doesn't mislead. Her capabilities are beyond what we know. But trust me, she's extraordinary. I urge you to keep her existence between us. I don't think others would understand." Lucian nodded. "I don't think I understand. But you're right. She's remarkable." That night, amidst the comfort of their makeshift camp, Lucian and Issac shared in the relief and camaraderie born of their successful venture. The dawn brought with a persistent rain, cloaking the landscape in a veil of gray as their friends donned their waxed cloaks and set off once more. The rain's relentless drumming slowed their progress considerably, and by the time the sun began to descend, still obscured by storm clouds, they found themselves on the western edge of the trail, skirting the crossroads. Lucian, eager to press on to the clearing they had camped in on the first night, noticed Issac's hesitation at the trail fork. "What's the matter? We won't find dry ground to camp on until we're past the north-south road." Issac's gaze lingered on the trail around the crossroads, conflict evident in his posture. "I think we might consider taking the trail around," he suggested, though his tone lacked conviction. "No, that's no good in this weather. The horses could get injured in navigating that muck. Are you worried about demons?" Lucian's question was half in jest, but Issac's silence and brief hesitation spoke volumes. After a moment, Issac steered his horse away from the trail, his decision made. As they started east, a lightning bolt cleaved the sky, its brilliance causing Issac to flinch. "Locke, that flash was miles away. The thunder's barely a whisper," Lucian said, trying to dispel his friend's unease. Issac didn't reply, but quickened his pace, a sense of urgency propelling him forward. Lucian, puzzled, followed suit. Approaching the crossroads, the storm intensified, rain lashing at them with newfound ferocity. Suddenly, Issac's horse bolted into a gallop. Lucian's own mount hesitated, and then followed. But Issac had vanished into the storm's veil. "Issac, wait up!" Lucian shouted, but his voice was swallowed by the tempest. Chasing the ghostly figure of his friend, Lucian crossed the north-south road just as another lightning bolt struck alarmingly close, its glare blinding him. The expected thunderclap never reaching his ears. When Lucian's vision cleared, he found himself lying on dry ground, the storm a mere memory. He rose, disoriented under a glow of an unfamiliar green moon. Issac, along with any sign of the storm, was nowhere to be seen.